Hello and welcome back to part 2 of this breakdown of the 6th round between Errol Spence and Danny Garcia. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, the link will be in the pinned comment. And again, I'll keep this short and focused mainly on Errol Spence. So we'll get started. Okay, so we'll watch the first 20 seconds. Covered this slightly in part 1. Some things we've seen happening numerous times in part 1 as well. And Danny Garcia did a bit better this minute than he did in the previous one. Yeah, that's 20 seconds. Okay, so we'll go back to here. Errol double jabs. Danny Garcia gets away from him, so he avoids throwing that left-hand shot. Then he's going to get a bit too aggressive here. He's going to throw this first jab, which is going to be like slightly parried, you could say, from Danny Garcia. Then he's going to throw this second jab, as you can see, he closes a lot of distance. His feet, if you look at them compared to Danny's, they're not at the greatest like angle of attack. You could say they're quite very centered towards Danny's right hand. And well, that's what he gets caught with, especially since Errol was a bit too over aggressive here and closed too much distance with that jab that he doesn't necessarily need to. Errol reacts quite well here though. He sort of gets forward in this high guard look, which draws out Danny's jab, steps forward with his lead foot, as you can see, and then boom, hits, well, I think that slightly landed on Danny, unless he pulled away before, but it's a good reaction, you could say. Draw out the jab, once the head's open, shoot for the head, goes to his left a bit, raises his guard to avoid that right hand, and takes a little shuffle back as he regains sort of his base. Now, if we watch this shuffle, it's quite interesting because he doesn't come forward completely. You can see he's making an effort to go to his right with that shuffle forward, making a better angle of attack. Okay, so here we go. If you watch part 1, you know exactly what's going to happen here. He's been raising his guard. Raise his guard again. Danny Garcia shoots a jab at that lead hand. Boom. Step in with that jab. Measure with that lead hand as you step in with your lead foot and shoot the left hand. The left hand misses because Danny Garcia has a good, he reads the situation well, gets under that left hand by slipping quite drastically, you could say. Errol recovers quite nicely, gets his elbow to sort of guide his lead hand into that hook, which is blocked on Danny's elbow, but I don't know if you've ever taken a shot. Sorry about that. I don't know if you've ever taken a shot on the elbow. It hurts. It hurts a lot. So he takes that shot on the elbow, shoots that left hand, and Danny Garcia gets under it again, just like he did with the first left hand, and shuffles away. Next, bit block there. Okay. Danny Garcia shoots another jab at Errol's gloves. This time Errol wasn't prepared to counter, so he just raises it. As you can see, his feet weren't exactly in the best position. So we'll continue. He steps forward, leans over with that high guard again, trying to draw out a shot from Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia steps back, steps forward, lean over, high guard again. This time Danny Garcia shoots the right hand. Errol shoots his own jab and they both kind of catch each other, but the better shot landing was definitely Danny Garcia's right hand. As you can see, Errol's foot position again, similar to how he got caught with that first right hand we saw, isn't in the best of positions. He's on the same line, or Danny Garcia's at a better angle for that right hand. Danny Garcia is going to not try his luck, but build on that right hand and try go for a right hook to the body. I think he lands on Errol's shoulder here, but Errol again adjusts well as he sees Danny Garcia come forward, jab, and the subsequent move out. with another jab. Okay, we'll try to go through these next 20 seconds a bit quicker because a lot of this is just going to be repeated information that you've seen in part one and now these first 5 minutes. There's one of the best examples you'll see of that counter Errol does. Okay, so after moving out from this jab, Errol's gonna start stepping forward. Danny Garcia's gonna try control that with his jab, and just look at from these small steps. This is a mistake that Danny Garcia sort of makes. From these small steps where Errol's just leaning over, high guarding, taking these subtle steps here. Look how far back Danny Garcia puts his weight. I mean, he's really not in a great position in terms of an attack. It's quite hard to throw anything from there. But yeah, no, that's just a mistake. You could say holding your feet does when someone's pressuring you. He sees the jab, parry. Errol feints the jab. Danny Garcia sees it as an opportunity to counter. Errol sees that right hand coming, parries it, and shuffles back. Now, what are you taught when you're going backwards that much? To go off at an angle because you don't want someone following you. So Errol does that. He does lose his position in the center, so he is going to try to get that back. So the first thing he's going to do, circle to his right, circle to his right again. He's going to see that jab coming. Shuffle forward. Now I'd say he's not comfortably in the center, but he's starting to get there. Sees the right hand coming, defends it accordingly, shuffles back, shuffles forward again moving slightly to his right. And then after this jab, this is where he's going to establish himself in the center because as you can see, Danny Garcia, once he takes it, sort of moves back, does these bounce steps, and that just allows too much time for Errol to get back in. So after this, you're going to see, like I said, the best example of Errol's countering. It's interesting to see that he actually does wait for it. As you can see, he stays in this set position, waiting, raising his guard, sees it, 1, 2, to the body. Yeah, that's a great counter. So if you watch that fully, there you go. Yeah, as you can see, that does bother Danny Garcia. Shoots his own jab, but Errol defends it and shoots one back. Right, let's continue. Okay, so we'll watch this now. So we'll study these last 20 seconds and then we'll stop and I'll finish it in part 3. Danny Garcia does a little bit better here. Okay, so let's go back. So after Errol shoots this return jab, Danny Garcia gets a bit low, probably to defend the follow-up shot. Errol sees this as a possible counter, similar to how he did earlier in the round, and shows up before stepping off to his left. Okay, now he's going to shuffle forward, raise his guard once, twice. Now he's going to get, as you can see, these 2 steps, and this one, it's a bit different. He gets a little bit low on this one. That's quite an aggressive look, and Danny Garcia reacts straight away by shooting that jab. He's going to get even lower. Danny Garcia's just going to step back this time, and yeah, now he's pretty much in the corner, which is not where you want to be against Spence. And this is a very small detail, but Errol actually, once he postures up, if you look at his lead hand now, it cuts at a bad time, but he sort of raises it as a feint, which gets Danny Garcia to already put his lead hand up and then shoots his jab. Just that small feint just really disrupted Danny Garcia's defense. Anyway, so he jabs. He's going to slip off to his right and he's going to shoot that right hook to the body. But Danny Garcia reads this very well, again, being a great counter puncher. Sees him duck low, right uppercut, left hook from Danny Garcia, which sort of like hits Spence just on top of the head, but he ducks it quite well. And then he moves off with the space given to him. Again, I'd say Spence did start maybe this hook from a bit far out, which was telegraphed. So he does pay for it here. But just if we're talking about Spence's mentality, look what he does straight away. Shuffles, shuffles. Then he's going to shuffle again to his right, force Danny Garcia to his right. Jab at the same time. Then gets into position, and then watch this jab, jab as he comes in, that same combination, left hand, and then a hook to the body. So this hook to the body is actually at a much better distance. You see that lead foot on the outside of Danny's than what he had previously done in the corner. And then that left hand to finish it off, which if you look at Danny's feet, I mean, he's quite squared up here. He takes a lot of these hard shots. He feints low, Danny does. Feint slow, which makes Spence shuffle back with his jab. So now Errol's gonna circle back while defending some of these jabs and shoot his own. Danny Garcia again goes into that low defensive movement, which makes Spence a little tentative. And then a good thing that Danny Garcia is going to do here is he's going to jab Spence in between steps. You could attribute the success to Spence being a little passive. So we're not going to read too much into that. But as you can see, he steps. He's not completely set before he has to defend that jab. Again, I think it's going to happen. He's not completely set. He has to defend a jab. So this is actually good timing from Danny Garcia. He's catching Spence in between steps, and well, you know, winning him a couple seconds, you could say, just with his jab alone. Okay, that's where we'll end it right now, and then I'll continue and finish this off in part 3.